I suspect not for the same reasons.
What's your excuse?
5 hours of sleep.
Right. So they are the same reason.
Yeah, but one was self-inflicted, not work-inflicted.
Right. Was it a good evening?
No, it wasn't that. I mean, yeah, okay, I had a couple of beers, but I was home by 6:30, so...
That's PM, not AM.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you?
The weather down here is appalling. Absolutely atrocious. It was 20 degrees
Still flooding?
overnight and 98% humidity, and we
It was
haven't.
about the same as here.
Yes, except there's a couple of centuries of acclimatization missing. So yeah, we're running the aircon in the room just to take some of the humidity out of it and to level the temperature off. And at one point got too cold, and it's just that a disrupted night's sleep is a disrupted night's sleep. And yeah, it's been a pretty intense week, so the subconscious is still dealing with all of that.
Yeah, true.
So yeah, not a lot of energy, that's for sure. Still, should be able to find enough to wield a paintbrush for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
Given I haven't touched one in for 4 days, 5 days.
I was going to say, you'd been a little quiet on that front.
Yeah, literally haven't touched it. Been getting home at 6:30 or 7, or actually one night was even 7:30. And by the time I've had dinner and spent some time with Joe, it's bedtime. So, literally nothing.
These things, they do happen.
They do, and you're going into a new role. You kind of have to impress, I suppose.
Yeah.
So one of the last things I did. So this is the guy that we finished off from the live stream last week.
He's very good, isn't he?
Yeah. I like how it's white but not white, but you can definitely see it's white. There's lots and lots and lots of different whites in there, which is good. And the little standing character is very characterful. But I also finished off these guys. And they're very nice. Jo approves. She says they look like horses. So I'll take that as a win. Move on. So today's shenanigans are some knights.
The human knights from the...
The knights previously known as the Mounted Knights of the Order. They are now the Knights of the Delivery, because the order has been fulfilled.
Haha.
Haha. I might have to put a dog outside.
She's...
starting to harass the cats.
Oh, and she was just laying there so peacefully just a minute ago.
That's about all you get out of her, is about a minute of peace. Come here, Wills. Hello. Hello. Tell she's been out in the rain. She's got rain hair. And she's remarkably soggy.
Wet dog.
Yep. Smells like. Good girl. Right, I better put some goggles on and get on with it, I suppose.
How are you, Grant? Not enjoying wet dog smell, I hope.
The nights that go knee are better than the nights that go knee wop. So the question is, should I go for a blue? Should I go for a purple? I thought about doing purple and yellow. Let's do that. Don't hear any resounding complaining.
Sorry, I'm just trying to pass Grant's favourite sport. Which was on this week, another first round knockout on Montague Street Bridge, 48-0.
Drugs versus the Montague Street Bridge.
Yeah, there we go. Ask Dad. Yeah, well, I'm not a Victorian, so I don't know these things. But I'm all for idiots driving into bridges. And yes, purple and yellow are colours that I quite like together.
Yep.
Or purple and orange.
According to Little Colour Wheel, which I did dig out, if you go, if you look at the complementary and you have yellow as the pure colour, the complementary is violet.
Violet's not a colour, violet is purple.
Well, we'll just change everything to be ultra purple then.
Yeah.
So, and then it says the triad is red, blue. So yellow, red, blue with a complementary of violet. So really I should be using yellow, red and blue.
Well, purple is a variation of blue, I reckon. I'd ask Kle, but he's muted. What I should be asking is what sort of colour scheme do I come up with for these wood elves?
I'm not sure. What would you like them to look like?
I don't know.
The elves.
I've kind of been thinking about white and green and pink accents and highlights.
like that idea. White and green works well for me.
Then it'll probably be some variation of that.
Hey,
They
Kle.
just need to get more, greys.
Yeah,
So that my whites actually look like white.
right.
2 pure whites, and that's about it. Next stop on the grayscale is black.
So subtle.
Yeah, the reason I've resisted buying greys in the past is because theoretically, with 2 different pure whites and a black, I can make anything I want. It's
Yeah,
just
but then
making them
repeating.
consistently.
Yeah. I've actually a mutual friend of Grant's and mine, and she's an artist, and she's like, "Why don't you just mix them?" I'm like, "Because I can't do it consistently." She's like, "Why do you need to do that?" Oh God.
Yeah,
The difference between
artists
an
don't
artist
get it.
painting on canvas and
Yeah.
the guy painting 300 of the same miniature.
Yep. So I've got a whole bunch of empty paint pots up there. The theory is that when I want to do something and I do want to mix something, that I can mix enough of it to do the rest of the army. That's the theory. It presents all kinds of psychological barriers, unfortunately.
Yeah, I've got quite a few of my own that I do that for.
I got some paint during the week. Yes, I'm not supposed to be spending money, but Jesus, I spent some money. And it calls for a mix of 2 greys with a drop of bright green. So I spent $4 for a drop of bright green. I haven't mixed that yet, so I don't know what kind of a disaster that's going to be.
Someone's painting warships again.
Yes.
Paint mixing charts.
Yep. A ratio of 10 of this colour to 10 of that colour to 1 of that colour. It's like, oh, really?
It could be worse. It could be Mr. Hobby paint colored mixing charts.
They're terrible.
45% this, 45% that, 10% this, and a drop of something else.
Mathematics isn't their strong suit. Now, should I quarter it or should I split it front and rear? I think I should quarter it.
Why not? Previous ones you did, you quartered, and they looked quite well.
Yeah.
Well enough that I pinched the exact same for my own.
So how was your week, Kle?
Just another week, really.
Yeah. I was going to say, actually, you don't have to answer that if you don't want to.
Yeah, maybe not on camera.
There may or may not be a few words that rhyme with truck. I have to say, sort of, Matty and I covered this as we started. I'm fried.
Oh yeah, you would be new domain, new people, new going into the office.
Yeah,
Big change.
4 new technologies. Not that they're
Oh
new.
yeah, you
But
said you got Rust in there, didn't you?
No, they don't have.
Well, no, the guy wanted to do Rust.
Yeah. So currently, I'm faced with Python, React, Angular, Go, Lua. There's server-side JavaScript.
Why on earth have they got?
It's just a melange of stuff that people did because they thought it was cool.
Yeah, right. Like, Why Lua and Angular and React? That's a pretty strange combination of things,
Yeah,
I would have thought.
the lure's down at the device level. It's driving the devices. So it's a scripting language that electrical engineers like to use, apparently.
And
Yeah.
game engineers.
Yeah. What's really amusing to me is that the game engineers decided that they wanted some type safety, so there's Louis U.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I was going to turn it into a .NET shop, but they've objected to that, so we're going to just settle on Go and React and move everything over. Which of course means learning Go and React.
React I don't mind actually. I think it's quite a good system. I thought the React Native stuff was pretty good too.
Yeah. What's interesting to me is that React and Blazor don't appear to be worlds apart. They're the same concept implemented differently, I think.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I like if you're a .NET and you're writing the .NET API as well, unless you were aiming for something very specific in React, you would be mad to use it, and you would want to stick with Blazor and get the full benefit of .NET.
Yeah. So I can't use .NET. They don't want it, so it has to be React.
Yeah, well, React's fine. What's Go like? What is Go?
Wow. It's a Google language.
Alarm bells.
Yeah, it's there was this fad a couple of years ago about functional languages. That the anti-reaction to object oriented. So it's one of those, and it's kind of this weird sort of hybrid because you can have methods on structures, but they're not classes. There's no inheritance. There's no polymorphism. Well, there is a form of polymorphism because they've got interfaces. It's a little bit strange, but it's lightweight and it's fast. So, but I have to learn it, and then I have to be competent in it, and I have to learn React and be competent in that, and so it's just going to take time.
Yeah.
While maintaining the current system, which is Python.
Might gut follow that this week.
Yeah. So, I don't like it. I want to get rid of it as quickly as possible. They said to me, "Oh, we've got threading issues with Python." I'm like, that's a tautology. So Willow's now assaulting the back door because I put her out.
Is it still wet out?
They're out in the alfresco area, so yes, it's wet outside, but it's not wet in the alfresco area. That's just her fear of missing out. I'm missing out on something. The cats are breathing and I'm not there to regulate it.
Is it raining down there too?
Oh, yeah. Rained all night.
Yeah, same.
But the temperature didn't drop. It's not fresh. It's just muggy.
Yeah, we're sending you a little bit of that mugginess.
Yeah.
I've been sleeping under a cotton blanket.
Yeah, really.
Well, like a thick sheet
Yeah.
for the last month.
We just turned the aircon on. That's what it was there for. So what are you painting?
I'm doing rats and dwarves.
Right.
I've done the banners on the dwarves with those pens, those paint pens,
Yeah.
which went well. They are really cool.
Cool.
Those Gundam marker paint pens.
Yeah.
I would have
Yeah.
thought they'd be a bit big for dwarves.
The pens.
Yeah, all the
Yeah.
ones I've seen, they got fairly large chisel tips.
There's a couple. I've got two types, and I used the bigger one, which was just okay, but if you push, it will be thick. But if you're really, really light, it'll give you a fine one. But there is actually another type I got, which actually has an even finer end, and they're double tipped. They've got two different tips, one at each end of the pen.
Oh, I haven't seen those yet.
They're called real touch markers, as opposed to the Gundam Fine Edge set. So the
Yeah.
Gundam Fine Edge set is like a Posca style thing, and it has got like I said, it's a thickish tip that is a bit soft. So if you press, you will get a really thick line, and if you're really light, you'll get an okay thinnish one. But this other lot has, well, the colours I suppose are a bit different, but they have one really fine end and a bigger, softer end, but still got a really fine point on it. So they're both quite sharp ends.
I haven't seen that kind.
Yeah, they're called
I guess,
real touch markers.
yeah. There's a third kind that they have, the superfine, which is what I usually use, and they're basically a 0.1 or 0.3 mil felt tip nib,
Yep.
and they're excellent for panel detailing, but they're not. And I guess recesses and shadows and stuff. They come in many of the colours of the rainbow.
Are they Gundam ones too?
Yeah,
Yeah, yep.
yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I couldn't.
GSI Krios makes them.
Yep. Yeah, I couldn't believe how many different types there were, and you had to be quite careful when buying them because they all look the same on the website, but some are actually quite large.
So this is what we're talking about. This is the Gundam marker set. This is the Fine Edge set 1.
Yeah, yep. So I used that one, the red of that one, and I touched it up around it with 3 coats of this banner color I use.
Yeah.
Imperial Japanese or something it's called, whatever it is. Anyway, and
Stay classy, Japan.
yeah. And then I put a light agrax over it,
Yeah.
and the bloody red came back through the 3 layers. It reactivated or did something to it, and
Yeah.
brought the red straight back through, and now I've got to repaint them all. Not repaint them as in, but I've got to go around the edging and retouch it all up, and because I'm going to go over in the lighter colour, I've got to work out what I do with the agrax, and
Yeah.
oh man,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
so
a
annoyed.
mess. That's a mess.
Yeah. So mental note, seal it first if you're going to do anything
Yeah.
like that.
You had a shocking story even through Sealer, didn't you, Matty?
Yes, I did.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, God. It's just not yesterday, the day before. Um, uh, sealed off some metallic paints and dropped a shade mix on top of it and on top of everything else on the figure, and it just lifted the metallic paint right off the primer as I went with my brush. I'm like, ah.
Oh no. Christ.
And it's a deep metallic blue over what was primarily a yellow figure.
God, that's starting to get.
Yeah.
Almost. Almost.
Wow.
I have no idea what happened. That's never happened to me before. Like, I've used that same metallic blue, and it behaves a little bit funny. It takes a lot of coats to get good coverage.
Yeah.
But I'd sealed it and I'd let it sit for a good half an hour after that.
Yeah, that's strange, isn't it? Even through the sealer.
Mm. Maybe it's just the end of the can and it's gone dodgy or something.
Yeah.
And it is getting towards empty, but it's still got, 20 or 30 mil in the bottom of it, I reckon. Enough for, 30 seconds of spraying, probably.
Mm.
Yeah.
I usually have better results with the end of the can than I do with the start, because they're so tall. It takes so much mixing. The mixing ball has to travel so far that that nasty glossy thing tends to happen more at the start of the can than the end.
Yeah, there's a reason for that. It's because the matting agents in your matte spray
Mm.
are heavier than everything else, so they settle at the
They
bottom. And the
settle,
mix, yeah. And if you leave them long enough in cool weather, they will solidify. So
Mm.
what you do is you run your can under hot water
Yeah.
for a little bit.
Yep.
I recently learnt that, and it totally rehabilitated that can that had just been fucking glossy.
Yeah, right.
There you go.
Yeah.
Which brand or all brands?
This is the Mikador
All of
one.
them, but
Yeah.
yeah, Mikador. They've changed that recently too.
Yeah.
It's no longer the same product. It points to the same link at Officeworks,
Yeah.
but it's not the same. I had to back check my order to make sure I ordered the same thing, and I didn't because I got something different in my box
Yeah.
when it turned up. Nah, that's another grumble.
At least it turned up. So my order
Oh
from
yeah.
RPE
Mm.
is now back at RPE.
Oh.
Oh wow.
Oh. How come?
Don't know. They stuck a sticker on it that said not to be transported by flight, and sent it back to RPE. So they've got a big sticker on it that says no fly. So they have to figure out what went wrong in the paperwork or whatever, because apparently it's turned into a dangerous good.
How heavy is it?
It's only 4.7 kilos.
Hmm.
Hey, should be able to carry that.
I would have thought it would be able to carry that, plus a few other things, But yeah, I think someone has scanned it somewhere along the way and gone, um, don't like what I'm seeing on the scanner, not sending it, basically. So,
Small pointy metal things.
yeah,
That is concerning.
it is, because it might mean that they can't ship metal miniatures to outside of England anymore, or to Australia or whatever. So
Hmm.
I'm sure they'll get to the bottom of that over time, but there you go. I was hoping to have them by next week. Not a chance.
At least you got something else to paint there, Dan.
You might have a few other things along the way. Oh, I failed a resistance roll yesterday. So, I was wandering around House of War a couple of weeks ago, collecting paint and flocking and a few other bits and pieces, and they've got a really they've re-expanded their historical range again, and I noticed that they had a couple of the Warlord starter sets, and so I sort of picked one up and just had a look at the price just for shits and giggles and went, holy crap, that's cheap. And then I did some internet surfing and I came to the conclusion that yes, holy crap, they were cheap compared to anywhere else. So I may or may not have gone back and collected a couple yesterday.
Oh shit!
So,
Like the Gentleman's War.
no, it was
Oh, so you said historical, didn't you?
yeah. So Vikings and Saxons.
Yeah.
I already had some Vikings. I've already painted 20 years ago, and I've got a few others sitting in the drawer waiting to be assembled and painted for that. So I've got a Viking starter army. So I'll have a Viking army to match my Roman army.
Cool.
Not quite that big, probably half the size of the Roman army. But I got some Saxons just because the Vikings need someone to raid and pillage. So yeah, they're hefty boxes and they're absolutely stuffed full of plastic.
Wow.
So what do you get? You get 100 and 128, 132, 133 miniatures for $150.
It's pretty good.
You know, $1 a figure, a little bit over $1 a figure for 28mm. You know, we're looking at it for Demon World. You're looking at $1 a figure for 15mm in metal. So,
And all that.
so you know, from the perspective of getting what is going to be a very, very attractive, very pretty force for very reasonable money.
Pretty good, isn't it?
Pretty good. So yes, failed a resistance roll. I'm not supposed to be spending money.
It's okay, you got a new job now. Whatevs.
New job doesn't pay quite as much as old one.
Ah, yeah. Did you see the War Games Illustrated magazine that was advertised in War and Peace?
I didn't look at it. No. What was it?
It's got a Napoleonic set of rules for big, simple, intriguing games and the rule set's written by Jervis Johnson and some other guys.
Oh yeah.
So might be worth picking up that if you're interested in the set of rules.
Yes.
I'm gonna get myself a copy just to see what's in them.
Yeah.
I might magazine myself.
So that's the current one.
Well, that's the current one, October. I'm going to pick up the September one as well.
Right. What's in the September one?
Get a sprue of World War II, I think.
Right.
Or something like that. I can't remember. I think so. I think it had World War II focus.
Right.
Maybe even Western Desert.
Yeah. Another friend of mine flicked me a Kickstarter link the other day. Guys that are doing STLs for Western Desert. And it's kind of odd stuff that you don't see in the, like the Battlefront stuff. You know, odd variants of armored cars and things like that. And it was €40, flat €40, and you got everything. So, if you're into that kind of thing, I didn't go into it because I finished doing my survey for that Dune Kickstarter and ended up spending another 100 and something bucks on that. Just because postage.
Yeah, it's a kicker.
It is. Hey, did I talk to you guys about the Heroescape stuff?
Only that I know you have some.
Right. So they're rebooting it.
Yeah.
So you can. It's like a crowd-funded thing. You can make a pledge and all that kind of stuff, but you can only do it through their pledge managers if you're in England, Europe, or America. But they did a deal with EB Games in Australia that you can pre-order it at EB Games. Now, the set is if you go into the pre-order thing, the set's $250 US if you're in the US. It's £250 if you're in the UK. I think it's €300 if you're in Europe. I can't remember the euro figure, so that's probably wrong. But if you go to EB Games and pre-order it, it's $780.
Aha!
Fuck.
Well, that's EB for you.
Shit. I was thinking 500 because they were ripping you off, but
Yep.
780, they're having a laugh, aren't they?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's more than a lend going on there.
Right.
And I was really keen. I was like, great, I can get some more of the... Because the tiles are identical. Well, you know, the form of them's identical, so they'll mix with everything that I've got here. I'm like, great, I'll grab a couple of sets and I'll be able to expand my tile. And it's just like...
Why don't you just get the Fasa or the Roll Parther guys in the US or the UK to get it for you? Because that's just crazy ass.
It is. And
It'd be cheaper for them to buy it in US dollars and post it over.
The thing about it is that it's a crowdfunder, so they needed 8,000 backers to make it a reality. And when I looked, the campaign was 2 weeks old, so it was 2 weeks of a 4-week campaign, and they had 2,000 backers. So the odds of them picking up a lot of backers from the Oceania region are, I would have said, slim to nil.
Especially at that price.
So I don't think it'll go ahead, frankly. I don't know. I haven't checked back again. I was too disillusioned. It's like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah. The whole point of it was that you walked into your local Big W, you went down to the game section, you picked up 2 boxes, and you walked out again, and you paid a couple of $100, and you got really good value for money. But $700 plus, nobody's accusing them of giving you good value for money.
Yeah.
Well, for anyone watching this later or outside Australia, EB Games that we're complaining about is GameStop, basically.
Mm-hmm.
With all the same problems.
Australia's version of GameStop. If you want a deep, in-depth critique of how EB Games work, ask my daughter. She worked there for a significant period of time.
That's right. An achievement in and of itself.
Yeah.
Grant suggests that you ask for your salary in miniatures directly, by the way.
Then I'd be working for 2 companies that are doing that. Yeah, that just, I don't know. But then if I think about the Dune game, okay, so I got the main box plus the 2 expansion boxes plus the neoprene mat, which is the whole game plus the status areas. So I think it's a meter long and it's 60 or 70 centimeters wide or something like that. So
Is this
very
a Simon game?
yeah.
Yeah, I know their style, and they are good value.
Yeah, I got the plastic tokens. So what are we talking about here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bits or something like that. Plus postage, but I reckon I'm into it for about 400. And it's like, you see something like that on a shelf and you go, 400. Maybe not.
How much I played for the Rising Sun? I don't reckon it was that much.
Yeah,
Might have been.
yeah,
But yeah, there was expansions and all
yep,
that sort of stuff, and that's quite a good game too.
yeah,
Quite good miniatures as little,
yep,
characters to have on the board when you're playing and whatnot.
yep.
Which one day I might even get around to painting, which was the whole premise of buying the game, pretty
Buying
much.
it, yeah, because you wanted to do some Japanese stuff.
Yeah, it's a really interesting Japanese stuff, which happens to be like a lot of the art style was done by Adrian Smith. I think did a lot of early Games Workshop art.
Right.
Don't know who did the actual modelling.
Yeah, I don't know. And then, of course, that $400, like the BattleTech campaign, that's now locked up for 12 months because they're not due to release it until, well, it's not due to be fulfilled until November next year. So that's the other part of me is like, it's a lot of money to have sitting in somebody else's pocket.
That long.
Yeah,
Yeah, it really does open you up to the inside details of producing games and how long it takes for all of that process, really. Because they're
yeah,
selling, half the time, they're selling a concept or a very early prototype that needs finishing and all of the production based stuff and everything else that. And suddenly, as a consumer, you're opened up to all of that time and the delays and everything else in that process.
yeah. But the worst part about it is that the backer behavior is such that if you don't have something that is complete or near complete, you get absolutely murdered because people don't like the look of what you're doing. So your Kickstarter isn't successful.
Yeah,
So
but
there's
that's
this
no
real
different from
dichotomy.
work, right? I used to work in an advertising agency, right?
Yeah,
And you would go up to the your account manager or client or wherever you're going, and they say, just forget the color. Does this roughly is this roughly the information you need? And they'll go, yeah, but I want that purple.
yeah, 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 yeah,
First thing they'll say,
yeah,
you know. So it's the same as
yeah,
this. People by and large have no vision,
yeah,
right? And if they do have a vision, no, but I'd say by and large they don't have a vision. They haven't bought into it. What
yeah.
they want is to be given that vision.
hmm
Um, so
So we were joking about it shouldn't be called Kickstarter. It should be called Kick Finisher
Yep.
because you're not starting anything. Because if you turn up with the start of something, you aren't going to get funded. You're just not. For exactly what you just laid out there. People don't have vision. They can't see what it could be. They can only see what it is.
Yeah.
And we got crucified in that first Interceptor campaign because it wasn't, quote, finished, unquote.
Yeah.
So, you go to... And so having been on the receiving end of that, oh God, that's supposed to have been largely finished. You look at the graphic images and all that kind of stuff of what they produced for that June game, and then to be told it's 12 months away, you're like, nah. I think there might be factory scheduling involved in that, in that there may well be other CMON games that are coming in front of it that need to be produced, and they have to get those out of the way to tool the factory to do these. Because
Yeah, man, those guys are machines. They pump games out.
Yep. There's... I mean, Zombicide's turning into Monopoly.
Yeah, right.
How long is it before we've got
Christmas Zombicide.
Crimbus Yes, exactly right. It's like, Australian Test
Simpsons
Cricket
Zombicide.
Zombicide.
Yeah. Yeah.
Harley Davidson Zombicide. We've already got that now. Moving on. But they've got a very successful franchise, so they're milking it for as much as they can.
Yeah.
But
I didn't mind that game, actually.
what was that? Zombicide?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was good
we
fun.
played it with Mo a
Yeah,
few
it was
times.
good fun, yeah. I only recall playing it once, but it was good fun.
Yeah, I think I played it 2, maybe 3 times.
Yeah. And of course, I made the mistake this morning of having a look at what Corvus Belly's next set of pre-orders are. Like, oh, gotta have that. Oh, gotta have that. Oh, gotta have that.
Did you pre-order it, or did you?
No, I didn't actually. But it's my pay schedule is shifted now from the middle of the month to the end of the month. So once I've sorted my end of the month finances out, I'll have a look at it and go see whether or not I can spring for those as pre-orders or have to wait a month and pick them up as retail.
Yeah.
I'm a bit concerned actually. Normally, they have your orders marked as back order, like the pre-orders. They're marked as back order in your order history, and the one that's due right now doesn't have any status on it at all. It's not shipped, it's not picked, it's not back ordered, it's not anything. I'm like, I really hope it hasn't fallen through the cracks.
Mm.
So we'll see.
That would be annoying if it has.
Actually, every time I've had a problem with Combat Company, like a problem with a product or delivery or order or whatever, they've always been super good in fixing it.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Yeah. It's a little bit tedious. They're just metal.
Well, they're knights.
Nice. So what's next for you, Matty?
Well, something big.
You're going to get around to that double-headed dragon.
I assembled that last night,
Ah, very good.
but I am not painting it next.
Oh, right.
I'm going to start an ice giant, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Big
my
will
next
look
thing.
cool.
I reckon the ice giant will be substantially easier than the double-headed dragon because that thing is it's bigger than I expected.
Yeah, right.
Assembled.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I've held the pieces together just with my fingers.
Hmm.
It's like 12 or 13 parts, so didn't do
Wow.
very well at that.
So well, you're more dexterous than I am if you can hold that together with that many pieces. I fail to
Well,
hold things together when there are only 2 pieces.
yeah.
Like,
Got
no,
lucky with the ice
literally,
giant on that count.
you think I'm being self-deprecating, but literally, I was putting the last horse on its nail yesterday, and you know how there's that period where you can see the glue go off
Yeah.
when you're using the Kickstarter or the kicker. So it just got to the point where the glue had started to go off, and I had one of those palsy twitches, and then had to scrape the glue off both sides of it and try again. Just
You know what this face-facing camera does for us, Dan?
which is what?
It shows us your visible frustration. That was a great reaction just then.
It's getting old. Shit has knobs on it. When no knobs are involved, if you get my drift.
Yeah, I was going to leave knobs alone.
There will be no twiddling of knobs. Hey, I had a really interesting experience on the way to work yesterday.
When
Driving
was the last
down.
time you said that?
Absolutely, it's a long time. I haven't regularly gone into the office for 4 years, so it gives you some idea. Driving down Wellington Road, and there's this bright orange flash, a really deep, harsh buzzing sound, followed by a big pop, and all the lights went out.
Oh, like a power station blew a fuse or something.
Yeah, like
Substation.
something shorted out. I didn't see exactly where it came from, but it was close. And yeah, then all the traffic lights started blinking orange, and
Okay.
there you go. Given the business I'm now in, I was very interested.
Hmm. All that gold-plated power infrastructure is really working out.
Oh, yeah, I've had an insight in behind that particular curtain too, and oh boy. Our power infrastructure is what you would call
Shambolic.
shambolic. Is a great word. Great word.
Yeah, I learned that lesson at over a decade ago now.
Yeah.
Building a power station in Townsville.
Yeah. It really is dreadful.
Well, it creates opportunities for your current employer, so
It does.
as long as you can grease the right political wheels.
And boy, oh boy, isn't that the biggest part of the process.
Yeah.
Basically what we're doing, because they throttled during COVID, all of those programs and projects and everything went on hold, but they're coming out of that again now. So prior to COVID, they had a team of 8. So they're currently ramping the business back up to the same size, to that team of 8. And this is also that the guy who owns and runs the business can spend the majority of his time schmoozing the people he needs to schmooze to get the orders.
Hmm.
So anyhow.
Yeah, I worked in a small business like that,
Hmm.
and the main couple of owners in the business, there was for a while 3, 2 of them were quite active in getting all of the work.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, as soon as they'd sold it off and stuff, the company almost just died.
Yeah.
It was just relied on them being able to get the work from, in this case, it was all the drug companies.
Yeah.
GSK, BMS, Bristol Myers Squibb, Glaxo, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Companies don't run themselves. I apologise for the whining of the dog.
I can't hear it over the whining of the kids. They're literally minging in the next room.
Oh, really? I put that away and I shouldn't have. Do the armour on the horses. Actually, I wonder if I'm better off doing the skin on the horses, the hide first. Apparently, Agaros Dunes is not a good horse colour. Apparently.
Really?
Yes.
What colour is Agaros Dunes?
Well, it's a brown, but apparently it's not a very horsey brown. I'm like, horses are brown. She's like, not that brown, they're not. But
Well, I guess it makes sense.
after I'd painted manes and tails, she sort of conceded that they did look a little bit sort of horsey and that I could get away with it, but there was conflict.
What if it was that colour brown on a dusky evening and that's when you captured them?
Yeah. Trying to have a conversation with that much depth in it, Kle, is an exercise in futility. You know that whole vision thing you were talking about earlier? Oh dear. I love her to bits, but sometimes subtlety is absolutely lost. You really do need to take the hammer approach from time to time. So we'll do 2 of these. I couldn't get over how much work was in those Napoleonic cavalry. They took forever.
Really?
Yeah, just there was so much detail. So many different colours.
Right.
I reckon there was 14 or 15 colour steps.
Crikey.
Yeah, just mad.
Oh, that's the French for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. They're just a bourgeois army, aren't they?
Yeah. What does that word even mean?
Essentially upper class, I suppose, is a way to translate it.
Is it?
Not quite. No, it has a slightly different meaning, but I think when you we don't have a bourgeois class or
I think
you know,
the closest we come to is new money in Turak. You know, people that are climbing the social ladder to get into the affluent areas, to be surrounded by, so-called affluent people. I think, isn't that? It's just not so prominent in Australian society, I don't
no,
think.
and I think maybe like you mentioned Turak, but has that really is that a bygone era?
Yeah, probably
And
is now.
because when you think about it now, you can go and buy your multi-million-dollar house in Reservoir for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
You know, so or Templestowe,
Templestowe, yeah, right.
right? Um,
It used to be, your Turaks and your Ormonds and places
yeah,
like that. But you're right, it no longer is that.
no, and I think with the bourgeois comes a sense of not just money but culture too,
Mm.
right? It's not just new money climbing a social ladder. There's a sense of
Entitlement.
maybe cultural. I was going to say cultural superiority
Yeah.
of it, or aspects of it that's in the name and in this and what they're capturing, I suppose.
Elitist.
Yeah, that's probably a good way to put it.
I certainly don't fit the bill. Even though the world hates me as a rich white man.
And we were doing so well.
With what?
Well, not going into too dangerous places.
We can't be entertaining for Grant if we're not a little bit controversial.
Oh, speaking of Grant, he suggests better than lower classes as a definition.
Right.
Which, is accurate, I suppose.
But self-defined better. It's not recognised as better by anybody else, but only by themselves.
Well, I'm not sure if it really is self-defined because it's really defined by, the proletariat and the bourgeoisie leading the proletariat,
Right.
pretending to be bourgeoisie.
Right. Yeah, there's maybe conflating cause and effect there, maybe. Anyhow, I
Well, they
don't
did a lot
understand
of
it.
that. Well, it's communism. How are you supposed to understand it? It's
Not understandable.
fundamentally an irrational system.
Mm.
Does not work. Very funny, Grant.
What do you say?
Brothers, sisters, comrades, arise and throw off the yoke of your capitalistic oppressors. Whoops, wrong chat.
Just sum the whole thing up with I don't understand and move on.
Grant asks if any of us are fans of Blood Bowl, or painters of, because it's big where he lives. I like Blood Bowl in concept, but I've never bothered to get interested in it beyond the very first version of Blood Bowl decades ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to play the first version a lot.
Well, the version that I have, the re-released version that was from 17, 18. I'd need to go and open it up to be accurate with that date. They went back to the original mechanics.
Cool.
So, yes, I have a copy of Blood Bowl here. I have 5 Blood Bowl teams, none of which are painted. 2 of which are assembled, none of which are painted. Because I'd like a Blood Bowl opponent to play Blood Bowl against, but the guys remaining down here are interested.
Yeah, I don't have any Blood Bowl left. I sold my halfling team. Shame.
So I've got a Skaven team, I've got a Lizard Man team, I've got the Amazon team, Orcs and Humans. Oh, I've got Elves as well, so there's 6. I've got 6 teams, no one to play. It's like my Necromunda stuff. I have 90% of everything that was re-released for this new edition of Necromunda. No one to play.
Yeah, Blood Bowl's a wicked game.
Yeah. Very, very good. It's a very good game. Played my very first game of Blood Bowl in '93.
Was that when they released it?
Yeah, that was. Do you remember they had the foam playing board?
Foam.
It came in 2 halves and it was 3D foam.
No, we had a cardboard one.
Yeah, okay, so that's second. So first edition had 3D foam playing area, like pitch.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Again, humans and orcs teams, but
Yep.
they the pitch was special. That was really, really nice. Like that would have done up to something really spectacular if you'd spent the time to paint it up and decorate it and whatever. But the guy who owned it, who I was working with at the time, he hadn't done anything. He just put the miniatures together and was using the pitch.
Yeah, I mean at that stage, that's the same as what we were doing. We didn't paint the damn things.
No.
We were just playing it.
Yeah.
We were so young we couldn't paint.
I keep forgetting.
Yeah, I would have been like...
I was working. But...
Yeah, I would have been like 14 or something, 13.
tell you what, if you've got a mint copy of that, it'd be worth quite a bit of money.
Yeah. Problem is, though, if you got a mint copy of it, you obviously didn't play it.
Yes. Well, you bought 2.
Or you bought 2, yeah.
Oh, I haven't done the damn ears. Yes, I certainly wouldn't have had enough spare cash to have bought even one of those, let alone 2.
No, we didn't have that. We had one copy between 4 of us.
Yeah.
Oh, the good old days. $17 single miniatures in big plastic blister packs.
As opposed to now where they're $60 single miniatures.
Made of plastic.
They're made of plastic, yeah. That you have to spend 5 hours assembling and then 20 hours painting.
Well, arguably you could spend that long on metal ones too.
Yeah, this is true. Actually, with the metal ones, it was probably spend an hour assembling, then 5 hours repairing them after they come apart.
Yeah.
Then another 5 hours repairing them after you drop them and they shatter.
Unless you were paying $17 or $20, whatever it was, for the single press minis like Wraithguard.
Yeah.
Single piece minis.
Yeah. But then top heavy, fall over, chip paint, scream.
I know. Yeah. That was so expensive.
You know those first what are they? The knights. The older
Nice.
No.
In 40k.
Yeah, no, not the knights, the
Dreadnoughts. Wraith Knight. Wraith Lords.
Wraithalords, thank you.
Effective, they used to be dreadnoughts.
Yeah. So put those on an uneven surface on the table, watch it topple over.
I know. I've got 8 of those.
Yeah. 8.
8, yeah. Yeah,
And they're all in their component pieces?
No.
They're all assembled.
Some are assembled, some are not. Some are painted, some are not.
But yeah, they're like, they'd fall over on the table and they'd just go in 8 different directions.
I know. They're always repairing those bloody joints.
Yeah. You just had to pin them. You couldn't get away with not.
Grant being suitably impressed by having 8 Eldar dreadnoughts. I refuse to call them anything but dreadnoughts. They were so cool.
They were wicked, aren't they? I've got even one with the little, the little spirit heads.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I've got that variant as well. And
a friend of mine's brother played Eldar way back when, and when I started getting into 40k, my mate got into it a little bit as well. The first thing he did was pinch his big brother's army, and then tried to strip it and repainted himself. God.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're sitting around a table on a balcony one day in the fucking rain.
Right.
The latest thing that he pinched from his brother was not 40k, but it was an Eldar Titan from the first epic.
Oh yeah, yep.
Holy shit, that thing was cool.
Yeah, man. I've got a couple of the. Was it the Phantom? The one with the 2 big wings on the back?
Yeah.
Yeah, the big
one
one.
of those.
Right?
Yeah,
There was
the big
a little
one
and the big one. The Phantom, I think, was the big one.
It was the big one.
And he had his big-ass wings on the back of him. Anyway, I've got a couple of those mounted on one of my Eldar dreadnoughts from the epic Phantom Titan.
Well, the funny thing of that story is we didn't have super glue, so he tried to put it back together after it had broken with liquid nails.
Oh no!
Yeah, fun afternoon, and it was in the rain, so you know.
In the immortal words of Jeremy Clarkson, that's not gone well.
Yeah. Well, we're 13-year-old kids, 14-year-old kids. What the hell did we know?
I bet you knew about it after his brother found out.
Yeah, well, I noticed that all that stuff started to disappear about the time the brother moved out, so...
Mm.
And it was never brought up in our friendship ever again.
He it probably all went in the bin when he got married, to be honest.
No, because the marriage didn't come until much, much later. Actually,
Right.
my mate got married before he did,
Yeah, okay. Maybe
which
they were
is
part of the
weird.
reason that he didn't get married until much, much later.
Hopefully so.
Well, that's what happens when you knock up your girlfriend at 20.
I was 24, thanks.
Well, I was talking about my mate, but you know.
Oh, right. Yes.
Yeah, beat his brother elder by, 10 years. Beat him to it by 5-6 months.
Right.
Well, I suppose 2 years, that was a miscarriage. Yeah, sorry, depressing. Not really suitable topic. Don't often hear that said on this stream.
Not suitable topic.
Yep.
Yeah.
I managed to keep and expand my... Actually, didn't have a lot of miniatures when I met my to-be wife, and got in trouble with her because I sort of offloaded it all to buy motorcycles. But I got to buy a lot of toys when I was married for the period I was married. I had war game armies and train sets and things like that, so I didn't go without for my marriage. My marriage didn't cost me my motorcycles either, so from that perspective, I think I did fairly well. Cost me my sanity, but I think that just comes with the term marriage, doesn't it?
Still got my Elder army from when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Minus the Harlequins is about it. Don't know what happened to those.
The only stuff I've kept really long term is the Battletech stuff. Everything
Yes,
else
that'd
is...
be my Elder army, really.
Yeah.
I've got rid of my... I used to have a huge Marine army, all that really old stuff, plastic beaky Marines,
Yeah.
and all the cool old bikes and the really old land speeders and all that business.
Mm-hmm.
All the metal Marines, the old metal ones. But I sold those and swapped those for Elder. And I sold off all my old Tyranid, really old Tyranid, for a huge amount of money and bought a massive plastic one,
Yeah.
which is better. Tyranid suit plastics.
The newer Tyranid sculpts are significantly better than the older ones.
Yes, and I mean, did you see the average size difference between the old Pyramid Army and the new armies.
Yeah.
My God.
The new stuff's like 3 times the size. You know, you used to think of the old Carnifex as a really impressive model. No.
Well, they were. They were like.
Well, yeah, at the time
Just
they were.
the amount of lead in them, Christ. I had 5 of those.
But compared to the plastic Carnifex, no.
No.
Righto. Horses. That away and that away. Back to metal. So you're gearing up for Nidvember?
Me?
Hmm.
No. I'm stuck in Skaven September. Wake me up when September ends.
Skaven Timber.
Yeah.
Because we're in October at the moment, and we're going into November.
Mid-November.
Yep. I completely missed
Yeah, no,
November
I'm
last year. I got a
well and
Tyranid model
truly
out and didn't
stuck
touch it.
on Skaven at the moment.
Right.
I was reorganising my drawers the other day, and I do have a really serious hankering for painting some Warmaster,
All right.
but I don't want to switch scales. I've just gone back to 28. I just
Yeah.
want to stay in one scale for a little bit, rather than going 15, 28, 10s.
So I don't know if you're paying attention, Dan, but the stream dropped out just then, and that's the second time it's
Second
dropped out
time
so
it's
far. So you'll have to do a little bit of stitching.
Well, because the recording continues, I don't have to
Yeah,
do
that's
stitching. I figured that out last week going, I said I was going to have to do some stitching, but no, the recording, because the recording's being done by OBS, not by Twitch.
Yeah,
It's
fair
all
enough.
good. Well, for values of good that are relative. But yeah, I did hear that the stream had dropped out again. I don't know what's going on.
Is OBS your local software that manages all your
Yeah.
cams and
Yeah.
stuff?
Yeah, it's doing all the camera feed blending plus the overlays, audio
Cool.
capture, all that shite. So I've
It's
missed
a
years on
handy little tool.
it. It's a very good piece of software considering how much you pay for it.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, I don't stream myself, of course, but I do use it to occasionally capture bits and pieces that I want to use audio from.
Oh, right. So you can pull the audio out afterwards.
Yeah, well, I use different tools for that,
But just
yeah.
to use the capturing component.
Yeah, just capture video or
Yeah.
whatever happens to be playing on a certain display.
Yeah, cool.
It was originally put together so gamers could show more than just the game they were playing, wasn't it?
Yeah, basically. Stick their own face in there and insert a copy of the chat.
That's what Don does.
Yeah, yeah.
And what I attempted to do, except there's this light bar in the way. I'm a very unhappy border collie.
I have 14 rats. They're cloth base coloured.
Right.
On to the 15th. Is it raining down in Brisbane?
Yeah, it is. It opened up fairly heavily a few minutes ago, and now it's stopped.
Huge bunch of it will send down to you. Be there in a couple of hours.
Thanks.
Caring and sharing.
I don't need to do any polyfiller today, I reckon. The size of that damn giant. So, won't be a problem.
You aren't getting anything dry, let's put it that way.
No,
That
no.
is probably the problem with the reactivation through the varnish that I had the other day,
Yeah.
because it was rainy out, and you know,
Okay.
I covered it, but
Mm.
just 100% humidity.
Yeah. It's what it is here at the moment. It settled into rain now. It was the odd shower before, but it's just rain. I can recommend a brand of food dehydrator. Jo came in, it was a couple of weeks ago, and she's like, "How often do you use it?" And I'm like, "All the time." And she's like, "Really?" I'm like, yes. The two tools that I use the most often are the paint stirrer and the food dehydrator.
That's cool. Handy.
Followed very closely by the airbrush. So my airbrush gets an absolute kicking at times. I undercoated the Bane blade.
Hmm.
Oh, good grief, did that take ages.
How come?
Just they're so big and there are so many angles.
Yeah, yeah. Imagine doing that with a brush, though.
Ah, there's a weekend just there.
Use a house painting brush.
get out your
2-inch
deep lap
brush.
roller.
Yeah.
A Bane blade sponsored by Walpermuir.
Duplex. No, was it
Dulux.
Dulux?
Yeah.
Not duplex.
This Space Marine chapter. Well, actually, it's Imperial Guard, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's Imperial Guard unit sponsored by Dulux. Weather Shield.
Sounds like the Russians could do with weather shield or any shields, actually.
Yes, there's another thing that's, quote, not gone well, unquote.
Yeah, no, not gone well.
Oh, but it's coming up to winter, and that's when the Russian soldier fights his hardest. Not sure that's the lesson to be learning from that particular thing.
Isn't it funny how you can end up with a warped view of something that was desperately negative and try and turn it into a positive?
Well, that's the human race at its finest.
With finest in quotes, right?
Yep.
Oh boy, oh boy. What a terrible...
Yeah, I was trying to think before about when we were saying communist wasn't a great system, and I was trying to think, is there really any system that's a good system when you throw human nature at it?
No.
No.
What you need is a system that is good enough and can be corrected for situation. And that's about as good as you're going to get. But you have to have something other than pure anarchy.
Do you think we've got anything less than pure anarchy at the moment?
Yeah, it is less than pure anarchy. It's only slightly less, but it is less. You know, you don't have, well, for the most part, you don't have gangs roaming around murdering people and stealing their stuff. And
Depends on where you live.
that's
Yeah.
why I said for the most part.
Well, there are large parts of the world doing that.
Yeah, I agree, but I haven't
I would
seen
not.
the local gang go down the road today.
No.
It's because you're stuck in your live stream, Dan.
That's a good point. What are you saying, Kle? I should get out more.
No, possibly not if there's local gangs.
Yeah.
They're all staying
Ignorance is
home because
bliss.
it's wet.
Yeah.
There's that descent again. Is that whistling noise?
So, serious question though.
Oh no, not for this live stream. Come on.
Does Melbourne still have a problem with its Sudanese youth crime gangs?
It does,
I
but
haven't
not.
heard about it talked about for years.
But not just those. Like that's the southeast. You go to the north and the northwest. There's still the interreligion problem, where you've got concentrations of religions other than Christianity.
Okay. I saw on the front page of the Herald Sun this morning that there's 9 neo-Nazi groups hanging around in Victoria as well. I'm like,
Oh,
okay.
that's got to be a reduction on the past, hasn't it? There used to be a lot more than that.
Yeah, probably.
Well, okay, so every single patch motorcycle gang, every single one, you can consider to be a neo-Nazi activist group.
Can we talk about motorcycle gangs and prominent Victorians for a second?
Well, I don't know. What defines a prominent Victorian?
One that's in the Senate.
Maybe no longer in the Senate.
Yeah, right.
Oh, she won't. She won't quit the Senate.
No.
No way. What bugs me is that this was the start of last year,
Yeah,
and it's being covered up.
yeah.
Right?
But that's
The Greens launched an investigation into her in like October of last year,
yeah.
and it's taken a year for the ABC to break the story. And I'm like, come on! If this was a LNP person, you'd be all over this.
I thought someone from their own staffers broke it to the media.
Probably did.
I heard it was some internal staffers who were so concerned that they brought it up or something. I don't know.
As they should, because their staffers were ignored for 18 months.
Yeah, and they were concerned about the relationship and whatever. So, anyway.
Who was it who said everything is connected?
In what sense everything is connected?
Well, just to go back to communism, I think it was Marx. Everything is connected. Although I know that quote mostly from Yes Minister. Sir Humphrey asked that question. Everything is connected, wheels within wheels. Do you know who said that, Bernard? And Bernard says, was it Marx? No, close. It was the cabinet secretary.
Yeah. But it's actually, without it being a political context, it's actually one of my favourite things to say when trying to describe why software systems have ended up the way they have, is that nothing exists in a vacuum. If you have shit software, there is a reason, or more than one reason. And normally it involves the environment within which it was created or maintained or whatever, rather than the individuals. And it's the same with policy, right? Policy doesn't exist in a vacuum. Politicians don't exist in a vacuum. If you've got a terrible bunch of politicians, it's usually because you've got a problem in your society.
Are you talking about the UK at the moment?
Every single country, right? Every
Yeah.
single one. If we've got politicians in Australia that are behaving badly or are out of touch or whatever, you need to look at the greater societal context, because there's a reason why they're, behaving the way that they're behaving. If your politicians are shit, your society is shit.
We're doomed.
We are.
Yeah.
We're all going to die. One day. That's the thing I was banging on about for the last couple of years, Kle. It's like, you aren't going to improve the infrastructure if you don't improve the culture. Because if the culture is poor, it'll continue to drive the infrastructure entropy to unsustainable levels.
Yeah. And I think at the moment I'm just playing it by ear because they're touting a lot of change, and I'm like, but you've just sacked most of the people that were trying to do change.
Yeah.
So what change are you trying to enact? Or is it just lip service to chaos?
I think it's the latter. Based on who is engaged in that, I think it's the latter. I think they're talking about it, but I don't think they can walk about it.
No.
So, yeah. What's wrong?
It probably won't mean much to a Victorian, but a little while ago there was a bloke named Paul Green who committed suicide. He's a football coach.
That's very unfortunate.
Well, it's finally come out why he committed suicide.
Right.
Advanced brain cancer. He's only 45 years old.
Yeah,
He's a successful player, a successful coach, well loved in the community. And
yeah.
all of a sudden just took his life. And we finally found out why.
It's really
Yep.
sad.
That's pretty shit.
Think I might do the same.
get advanced brain cancer.
If I was in a situation like that.
Mm.
I had a teacher in school who had brain cancer.
Mm.
He'd lost an eye and a fair chunk of his brain to it already.
Mm.
He was only 27, 28 when he finally died.
Wow.
But yeah, it was just sad to watch him.
Mm.
He tried his best, but yeah.
You remember Peter? Kle?
Peter?
Fankhauser.
Yeah.
He died of brain cancer. He was in his 50s, but still not old enough. In his case, his condition went off a cliff. Within, I think, 9 months of it starting to advance, he was gone. So. And he was a nice guy. So. Just the way you phrased that, Matty, it kind of just sounded to me like I'm just going to go and commit suicide.
Yeah, that's why I tried to continue the thought.
Right.
I have mixed feelings about euthanasia.
Is it euthanasia or is it suicide?
Euthanasia is suicide.
Self-euthanizing is suicide.
I still have mixed feelings about it.
Mm-hmm. You would have had a robust discussion with Terry Pratchett about it?
Not necessarily. I don't think that I can force my opinions on someone else and expect them to change as a result. I think it's something that you should come to it yourself with.
Well, that's very true, but what he wanted is he wanted dialogue. He wanted the issue to be out in the open. He wanted people to be talking about it rather than just making a blanket decision and then hiding behind it.
Which is why I was really disappointed to read, literally just yesterday, an article about a woman in Canada who discovered that her son had planned to euthanize, because Canada has free and easy euthanization now. Governments will even pay for it for you.
Right.
A 23-year-old son decided to end his life because of a non-terminal condition.
Right. Problems.
And
yeah.
right, yeah, it was a mental health problem.
Mm.
And she only found out about it because she accidentally received an email about it.
Mm.
Right? I mean, wasn't consulted at all, didn't talk about it. The son didn't talk up.
Mm.
He just made a decision. Oh, yeah, I had enough. That's it. I don't support that sort of situation at all.
So there's a couple of bits here. First of all, you said 23.
23.
Yeah. Well, by definition, he's an adult. And he's allowed
That,
to make those decisions for himself as an adult. And so,
I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
It's that he didn't talk to anyone.
Yeah, well, that's part of the mental condition. Some people don't want to talk. So.
Well, I know that, but still.
Yeah, but they're, we don't want people committing suicide if we can avoid it. But how do you determine where that line is? It's actually very, very difficult to legislate anything that is actually fair for everyone. You're always going to disadvantage someone.
Oh, this is true.
I would also say that although you may not want people committing suicide, forcing life upon that person may also not be desirable for them to.
Absolutely true. And like
even
this,
if it is in a non terminal illness or whatever they're facing.
That's right. Life might just simply be unbearable for them.
Yeah,
And the only person that can make that determination about whether their life is unbearable or not is the individual. Having legislated guidelines for what is considered unbearable and what isn't, that's heinous.
Mm.
It's a very difficult. There's no easy answer there. There really isn't. That involves subtlety and dialogue and compassion, and that's it. There are no hard and fast rules. There cannot be hard and fast rules.
Well, a little bit of dialogue would help that mother, I think.
Oh, absolutely. But then you have to wonder at the relationship she had with that son and where
True.
that stood. And, there's too much subtlety there. You can't. That would take years to dig into that to figure out why it had ended up in that particular situation. And well, I'm not a trained psychologist, so I certainly wouldn't be able to come up with the answers. But I'm not sure that anybody necessarily could. Like, I mean, okay, I have a terrible relationship with my sister. Like, terrible. We do not communicate. We have no common ground. Don't like each other. Don't want anything to do with each other. I don't know that I would necessarily feel very good. In fact, I know I wouldn't feel very good if she committed suicide. That would affect me. But does that mean I think I need to be consulted about her current mental condition? Yeah, no. So, I don't know. There's no easy answer there. There just isn't.
Eight more minis.
Well, you reckon that was his problem? He didn't have enough?
Yeah.
Or he had too many? Where did
Well, it could have been either one. It could have been the wall of shame, couldn't it?
Could have been. The easy, simple answer: buy more miniatures. Oh no, I've run out of room in my house.
I expanded my miniatures to 4 more drawers the other day.
Oh, nice.
Laid them out a bit more. Spread them out so I can start prepping them and stuff like that.
Good plan.
Brown that wasn't meant to be horse brown.
Yeah.
That's not a bad brown.
Well,
Someone who's never really ridden a horse before.
this is the problem. Is that she bloody owned horses for 10 years.
Yeah.
So when she says stuff about horses, I'm kind of foolish if I just ignore her.
I totally understand, but from a non-horse person, that looks like a horse brown to me.
I may or may not have made that point myself. Time. 10 minutes.
Yeah, man. I've got to get some breakfast, I think.
Yeah, me too. But I'll finish the leather on these horses and pull a pin when that's done.
You know what bugs me, though?
What's
and
that?
this will bug Joe as well if she ever sees them.
Hmm.
Those are saddle blankets. They're not saddles.
Well, that's okay.
They're not supposed to be leather.
Aren't they?
No. The saddles are actually part of the
rider, yes, I get
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. So the saddle blankets aren't leather; they're like cloth,
Right. Yes, you're
and
right.
they're there to prevent chafing on
Yes,
the poor
you're right.
horsey.
100%. You're right. So I should
Uh,
paint over them with a different colour.
or it's brown cloth, whatever. Grant comments that he likes when people critique the colours of horses when there's a dragon model on the table. Reality check has long since been turned off.
Yep. What's worse is when we're critiquing the colours of the dragon.
Got another dad joke ready for us, Grant. In the stream on.
The last one was a doozy. We're all holding our breath, waiting.
He says he's got one, but he's not confident that we'll hate it. So, I don't know.
Oh.
We don't have to hate it. Just needs to be, painful.
A groaner, yeah. Is there a bigger dad joke than being a dad?
I've heard this one before, but I forget the punchline.
That was actually a serious question.
Oh, sorry. Oh, God. Yeah, I hate that, Grant.
What is
I
it?
hate that.
You have to read it out.
Yeah, I'm getting to it. Give me a break. Jeez. Why was Batman sad when he went shopping for shampoo? Why was Batman sad when he went shopping for shampoo?
Oh man, you got me.
Cannot begin to guess.
Because they were all out of conditioner Gordon.
Oh boy. I guess he got them with that one.
Oh.
So why did Batman take a break from fighting crime?
I don't know, he had dirty hair because he couldn't get conditioner.
Because it was becoming the bane of his existence. Holy Kleenex, Batman, it was right under our nose and we blew it. So, when Batman was looking for his conditioner Gordon, where did he go for his shopping? Gotham.
Got ham, yes. The
That's a
local,
stupid joke.
the
It's
local
not
deli,
one.
right?
Yes. That's a stupid joke. Why doesn't Batman like going on nature walks? He can't stand poison ivy.
Mm.
What does Batman like to put in his drinks? Just ice.
I'm gonna go and get some breakfast, guys.
Yep.
Have a good one.
I don't blame you. Run screaming. Have a good one, Kle. Take it easy.
Yeah,
I'll
have
see
a
you
good one.
next week.
Talk to you soon, yeah.
Bye.
What's Batman's favourite part of a dad joke?
The punchline?
Exactly. Oh dear, here's an awful one. What do you call it when Batman skips church? Christian Bale.
That one's actually quite clever.
It is. It is. That's the problem. I'm all out of Batman jokes.
But he's Grant.
Let's find out. Quick, Robin, hand me that bat condom. What size, Batman? Boy Wonder or Holy Batpole? Always prepared. Always prepared.
I had a couple of Halloween jokes. What do ghouls like?
Brains.
Demons. Because demons are a ghoul's best friend.
Oy.
What's the difference between a witch and peanut butter?
Dunno.
A witch doesn't stick to the roof of your mouth.
Groan.
Oh, we could be here all day. Fortunately, for the live stream and for anybody watching this video at the end of it, we've run out of time. Saved by the bell. Very good. Thank you all for coming along. Very entertaining stream. There was some seriousness in this one. I'll need to put a disclaimer on that, won't I?
Oh yeah, like don't listen to this one in the last half hour
Yes,
because we talk about some serious things for once,
for once.
and also we tell some awful jokes.
We actually treat a serious subject seriously.
Mm,
And then
that's
we tell
totally
some
off-brand for us.
really awful jokes. And turns out those two things weren't related.
True.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, good people. I'll see you next week.